The Midnight Selkie, Chapter 10. The morning chorus of seagulls rang from the sky outside. A teapot whistling inside interrupted it. That was the sound that finally pulled Raleigh from his sleep. He looked around, having absolutely no idea where he was. However, he wasn't quite awake enough yet to panic. At first, nothing looked familiar. Only after he wiped the sleep from his eyes was he able to take the messy room into consideration. Was he still at the lighthouse? He got up and headed for the bathroom, which, unlike the rest of the house, was sparkling. Then to the kitchen. Abernethy Porter was already awake, obviously. He was cooking a hearty breakfast. Bacon, fried eggs, sunny side up, sausage, ham, and pancakes. Where did he plan to put all of that? Low mileage, Admiral?
Good morning, boy. Glad you're up. I'm starved.
I can see that. The Admiral gave his crooked smile.
I normally eat at 5 in the morning, but I didn't want to cook and clean up twice, so I waited for you.
I felt lost this morning, Raleigh stated.
You dozed off out here, so I put you in the bed, Nye replied. Slept like a lamb, you did.
He made a plate for Raleigh and set it down. He put down a glass of orange juice and milk next. Then came a bowl of dry oatmeal. That was quickly remedied. The water in the pot made it as oatmeal should be.
Eat up, boy.
I don't know if I can handle this much food, Raleigh replied, his eyes growing wide to take in the vision of all this food.
Eat what you can. You'll need the energy. Every morning should start with a good breakfast.
Dad calls it brain food.
Maybe it is,
Nye shrugged.
It's carbs, it's muscle, and it's fuel. Working men need it.
Admiral.
Speak up and speak quick. Then put that food in that gabber.
I'm sorry for causing you all this trouble. I didn't mean to put you out of your own bed and stuff. Nye shook his head.
Fiddlesticks, boy. I put you there. After you drifted off, I sat up in the tower for a while. Then I camped out in the chair. Normally I only do that on Sundays, though. Now hurry, time's a-wasting.
Raleigh swallowed his mouth full and looked around. What time is it?
Almost 10:30. Too late. Must have been pushed. But I guess stress can do that.
10:30? I'm late for school. Oh, I didn't even have a change of clothes.
Calm down, boy, Nye urged. Don't get yourself in a tizzy. You got all year to go back to school.
I feel like...
You're playing hooky? Yep. But don't go making a habit of it. But I'm letting you help me today.
Doing what?
Turner's work, he announced.
Are you going to make me clean your house, Admiral?
Why? It'll just get sandy and cluttered again. Only place in my house that's spotless is the crapper. Leave no spot where you trot. Cleaning spree where you pee.
Raleigh covered his mouth so as not to spit out his milk. Unfortunately, it leaked from his nose. Nye pulled a handkerchief from the tin on top of his old refrigerator and placed it in front of him with a chuckle. Raleigh swallowed what was left of his mouthful and wiped his face.
You're a good-natured boy, Raleigh. I imagine my grandkids would be a lot like you. Maybe even my great-grandkids.
You're a crazy old man, he laughed. After breakfast, Nye led Raleigh about the property, picking up stray trash brought on by the seaside winds. It took very little time. The real chore was the tower. It needed to be mopped, and the windows needed to be wiped down. Raleigh disliked this task. It wasn't that the chores bothered him, but more the work it took to prepare to do the work. 2 buckets of wash water had to be carried to the top of the tower, as well as the rags and mops. It wasn't easy. I thought you said that we weren't cleaning the house, Raleigh said as he wiped the windows clean.
I did.
Did you lie?
Not a word, boy.
He laughed.
My house is connected to the lighthouse tower. I have to clean this thing daily. It's nice to finally get some help. These old bones could use a break.
Raleigh pouted when he noticed Admiral Nye Porter looking over the town with his telescope. "You're nosy, and you're taking advantage of me."
"Only a little," he replied. "You did good on them windows. That'll do. Now mop that floor."
"My arms are going to fall off tonight," he sighed, throwing the rags back into the bucket and putting the head of the mop in another.
"It builds character, boy. It builds muscle, too. And by this evening, it'll build you up an appetite."
It was obvious that Raleigh had never mopped the floor before. He pulled the dripping wet mop from the bucket and plopped the soapy head to the ground. He then pushed the bubbly water about. Nye looked away from his telescope and let out a gasp.
"Whoa! Man the pumps! What are you doing?"
"Mopping?"
"You're flooding my lighthouse, boy."
"Well, I don't know," Raleigh retorted. "Mom mops at home."
"You mop like a weenie," Nye growled. "Let an old seaman show you the proper way to swab a deck."
"I thought we were mopping a lighthouse."
"Boy, shut up and watch,"
Nye replied. He tutored him quick in the art of good naval mopping. But Raleigh, finding an opportunity, played rather dumb. He was the one having the last laugh when Admiral Nye Porter ended up mopping the whole thing himself. "Oh, now I get it," he shouted. "Now I'll know for next time."
"Boy, I'll make you do it with a toothbrush next time,"
Nye huffed. It only made Raleigh laugh harder.
"Humph. You're just lucky that I'm a good sport. Otherwise, you'd be in a lick of trouble."
"I'm sorry, Admiral," he snickered. "I won't do it again."
"You can dump the water bucket, smarty pants. Be careful about what's down below. I almost drowned the cat once. Bring everything back inside and meet me on the beach."
"Yes, sir," Raleigh nodded. Admiral Nye Porter was already puffing away on his pipe when Raleigh joined him. The tide was coming in. Raleigh watched as water crept further and further onto the beach. Admiral Nye Porter, however, looked off into the distance. "So what do we do now?" Raleigh asked.
"You follow me, boy. I want to show you Bessie Beauty."
Without waiting for a response, he hurried along the beach and to the other side of the property. There was a large shed there, and Nye was heading right for it. In he went with Raleigh in hot pursuit. For its vast size, it held 3 boats of different sizes. To the left was a simple sailboat. In the center was a tiny blue speedboat. The boat on the right looked more like the boat of a true fisherman.
"There they are, boy. My girls be a-floating before you."
"Why are you showing me these, Admiral?" Raleigh asked him, almost as if growing a sort of suspicion. Admiral Nye Porter motioned towards the biggest of the boats.
"That's the Ursula. Good girl, that boat is. She's a wee bit sick, though. Her motor blew. I'm just a-waiting for the parts so I can make her like new again."
He then thumbed towards the speedboat.
"That one is true blue. She's pretty good for short and quick trips. Reliable little lady she is. But the lady of the day is Bessie Beauty."
"I'm guessing that you mean the sailboat," Raleigh assumed. "What's so special about her?"
"She'll be giving us a wee joyride to Merrow Rock,"
Nye said, as casual as he could. Raleigh, on the other hand, felt his heart leap into his throat.
Look at you. You look seasick already."
"I don't know about this, Admiral. An inside pool full of dolphins is one thing, but this is totally different." Admiral Nye Porter laughed, hopped onto the boat, and sifted through his supplies. He picked up a life vest and tossed it to Raleigh.
"Put that on. You told me last night that I was like them dolphins. Just like them, boy, I won't let you drown. Nothing is going to get you."
Raleigh gulped before putting on the life vest. He examined the edge of the boat warily. Nye was rather less than patient, and he swooped forward. He snatched Raleigh up by the back of the vest and pulled him onto the boat. Of course, Raleigh let out a loud cry of protest, which was ignored. But he was on the boat now, and there was nothing to be done about it.
"See? Nothing bad is a-happening. Relax. Trust in me, boy."
Raleigh sat on the small bench in the sailboat, trying to calm himself. Nye had not lied to him before. He had no reason to start now. But that is where he stayed as Nye maneuvered the boat out of the shed, opened the sail, and headed into the sea. After a few minutes, everything continued to go safely. Everything seemed calm, and curious dolphins were riding along the sides of the boat happily. Nye seemed calm as well, but obviously meant that he was not worried about anything. Everything was going according to his plans, whatever they were. Slowly, Raleigh crawled his way closer to the Admiral. Nye gave him a side glance and chuckled with his raspy laugh.
"Are you getting comfy now, boy?"
"It's not so bad," Raleigh replied nervously.
"Are you feeling sick?"
"No, not really. I'm just a little nervous. It's been 7 years since I was on a boat." He took a deep breath and tried to finally put himself in a calm place in his mind. "How long will it take to get to Merrill Rock?"
"On this boat, with the wind as it is, about 2 hours. By the time we get there, we can have a bite to eat. It's a nice place for a quiet picnic."
"Do you go out here every day?" Raleigh asked.
"Almost. I normally go earlier in the day, so this is a bit out of the ordinary for me."
Raleigh decided to leave the conversation at that. There really wasn't anything else to say, was there? In lieu of words, both stared off into the sea in silence. It was just as pretty out here as it was from the land, and the chattering wild dolphins added that special nautical something. Overhead, the seagulls flew low to investigate them. One never knew if those human creatures had greasy food to steal, after all. By the time Bessie Beauty came upon Merrill Rock, Raleigh's focus had slipped away with the tide and current. He only regained his senses when the boat bumped in the shallows, and Admiral Nye Porter began to shuffle with lines and a cooler. Raleigh took one good look at this place that he could now experience up close. Merrill Rock was a small and beautiful island. A ring of beach surrounded a small forest and gentle rocky climbs. It had always been a perfect place for camping, but they were not here to camp.
"We're here, boy."
"It's so beautiful," Raleigh said breathily.
"Yep,"
Nye said, and grabbed Raleigh by the vest to lift him. "Admiral, what are you doing? Put me down! Don't throw me overboard!"
"The water's shallow here, boy," he laughed. "We will have to wade to the beach from here. Don't worry, I'll be right behind you."
Before Raleigh could bravely agree or defiantly protest, Nye tossed him into the water. He bobbed a few times before he found his footing in the sandbars and stood. "I hate you," he shouted up at the laughing mariner. After he brought all the supplies ashore, Admiral Nye Porter tied the lines to a pole sticking out of the sand. Raleigh removed his life vest, which Nye boldly tossed back onto the boat with great accuracy. Split half and half between them, the pair brought the supplies with them, as Raleigh followed Nye. They headed for the forest, walking along its own shallows, as if under cover. This was confusing for Raleigh. If Nye was curious about what was happening on the beach, why not walk on it? It was a question he chose not to voice, however. As Nye had requested of him, he put silent faith in the idea that the old admiral knew what he was doing and would keep him safe. They suddenly drifted further inland, as though Nye had lost interest in the beach for the time being. He found a soft grassy place, setting up the ratty blanket, and laying out the picnic. Despite having a conversational companion, no words drifted between them. They ate in a general silence, yet despite that, they seemed to enjoy each other's company. After the meal, Nye led Raleigh to a tree, with a tree stand set up within it. That was an odd sight. Raleigh hadn't seen any traces of deer on the little island. Come to think of it, how did they get there? Planning to do some hunting, Admiral?
"Nope. Scouting. It's a safe place to sit and watch without scaring the locals."
Locals? Admiral Nye Porter began to climb the tree with less than graceful ease.
"Follow me up, boy, and you'll see what I mean."
"I'm not very good at climbing trees, Admiral," Raleigh called up. "I already told you that before."
Uh-huh. He couldn't swim at the time either, he retorted.
Such bold words made Raleigh pout with a heavy sigh. The Admiral had a point. It was his simple way of saying, try and you'll learn. He couldn't argue with that. It worked last time. So Raleigh attacked the tree, trying to follow Nye's example. He was far more limber than the old man, which was in his favor. When he was close, Nye reached down to grab him and pulled him onto the platform.
Very good, boy. Now,
He pointed towards the beach.
look down there.
Raleigh studied his face a moment before staring down onto the beach. On the sand was a small seal pup. It was overall gray in color with white spots. Ooh, a seal!
Shh. Try to keep your voice down. Up here, they don't notice we're watching, so they act natural. She's 4 days old. Her name is Pearl. Pretty girl she is.
She's cute. But aren't most baby animals? Where's her mom?
She should be back in no time. She's a-getting something to eat.
I thought seals just lived off the fat stores in their blubber, Raleigh asked. I didn't think they let the babies that young.
They do live off their fat and lean times. Seals do.
You mean Pearl is a Selkie?
She has a young mama. And there she is. Luna.
Sure enough, a larger seal, almost white in color, slid onto the beach with a bark. Pearl barked back with grand excitement, shimmying over to her mother.
Selkies are born as seals, boy. They develop much faster than human babies. She'll learn to swim soon. Then, when she's able to remove her skin for the first time, she will age slower than normal human beings. Selkies can live a very long time.
They look so natural. I'd have never guessed, Raleigh observed.
Yes, it's far too early in the day for Luna to risk removing her skin. If she feels safe doing it at all, she may wait until after dark. She may even forego doing it at all until Pearl is ready to join her.
Raleigh smiled as Pearl began to nurse from Luna. It's amazing that something like them can become those beautiful people. He then turned his eyes to the Admiral. They told me their names. They even called me brother. Admiral Night Porter gave a nod.
That's good, boy. For a Selkie to consider you a brother, they must see you as one of them.
The one that looked my age. His name is Nemo. He told me so.
Did the others give you their names as well?
Nye asked. Well, there was one called Yue. He was the one who introduced the others to me.
Yue.
Nye mused quietly.
That is good. Yue has been in this area a very long time. In fact, Luna down there is his baby sister. If a Selkie as young as you claim Nemo to be is with Yue, I am at least glad of that.
Yue said that there was one in there, and he was named Artemis. He also said that Artemis was his son.
Artemis. Poor thing,
Nye said sadly. There was another one called Lazuli. There was one with black hair and an eye patch. Yue said that his name was Phoebus.
You said that there were 6 Selkies. Who's the 6th?
He's the oldest one, I think. Even the others treated him like he was the elder of them. He looked horribly scarred and was missing an eye, just like Phoebus, only it was the opposite eye. He was the only one with short hair, too. All the others had long hair. I think Yue said his name was Atari. Nye frowned.
Atari. I see. That can make for a very bad combination, even with gentle Yue with him.
Do you know all of these Selkies, even by name?
I'm familiar with some of them, and I'm sure if I saw their faces, I'd recognize others. I come here often, and I watch them on the beach when they come ashore. I've been doing it for many years.
Is that how you were able to learn their dance? You watched them from here and from the lighthouse? Raleigh asked.
Yeah,
Nye replied.
We should head back. It'll be getting dark by the time we get there. We can grab ourselves a late supper.
Are you planning to send me home?
That's not up to me, Raleigh.
Nice stated simply, and helped him to climb down the tree, before doing so himself.
Your mama, though, she has fairly good judgment. Like you said, she's very protective over you. Well, I'm sure she's capable of making a good decision in your benefit. For that, she deserves to know that you are okay.
I guess you're right, Raleigh sighed. I suppose it was wrong of me to just vanish like that and not let her know that I was at least okay. She probably thinks someone came in the window and kidnapped me right out of the bedroom.
Kinda hard with that dog, isn't it?
Oh, the dog isn't ours, Admiral. Abby belongs to Ben Connor. He works the night shift at the lab my dad works at. He was the one who introduced me to the dolphins. He's really nice. If I ever had a big brother, I think he would have been really cool as him.
Well, I'm sure if you had an older brother, he'd be worrying about you too. And I'm sure he'd be looking out for you like the rest of us.
I just hope I don't walk into a yelling fest by my dad. I can't handle it. And he will never understand what I did or why.
I understand, boy. And I think your mama will understand.
Thanks, Raleigh said, his cheeks going a little pink. And I gave him a pat on the back and gave him an encouraging, albeit crooked smile.
You'll be all right, boy. Everything will work out just fine.